Hello, I am Orange Cat, and here is my not really a review, but my analysis of the ratings of Toonami from this past September 22nd, 2018. As you can see here, this is the listing on Showbuzz Daily of the ratings for Adult Swim. And let to know how My Hero Academia started out pretty well. It didn't improve, but it's still doing pretty well to 0.28. There really was not much reason to improve, so if you're a fan of that show, it's still doing pretty well. Dragon Ball, very same story. The actual total viewers really jumped up for Dragon Ball this week. So I'll say you've got to be more optimistic about that show than any other show in this block still. 0.35, great ratings this era. But here's when we start getting some issues. Attack on Titan plummeted 500ths to a 0.23 here, and it's something to be worried about considering it was a big investment. There's a lot of hype going into this season of the show, and although a lot of the action is towards the end of the season, it's still something to be a little worried about seeing this number for a show that's had a lot of hype, like Attack on Titan. Fully Cooley, I'm going to get more on that later because that's something that's going to turn into a bit of a rant here in a second. But Pop Team Epic, it ended this past week, and hey, it went up 1/100th. It never really rated well on the block. A lot of criticism over its decision being on the block, but it ended a little up, and you can't hate it too much for that. Personally, from a rating perspective, JoJo had a great week. Went up 0.03 to 1900ths. I believe that's the best ratings it's had for Diamond is Unbreakable so far, and actually barely finished below Fully Cooley. If you look at the rankings, Fully Cooley finished 29th for the night, and JoJo finished 30th for the night. And I'll go into that in a second, why I pointed that out. Hunter x Hunter, decent, went up 200s. Actually tied Black Clover, and for using the total viewership as a tiebreaker, beat Black Clover, which makes the decision to flip-flop their slots next week a little interesting, but Black Clover, at least recently, is more consistently outperformed at Hunter x Hunter, so I don't think there's too much controversy over that decision. Naruto, great ratings to here, went up to a 0.2, looks very promising considering it's going to get bumped up all the way to 10 p.m. for these next ratings, next week, next schedule. And there's a lot of controversy, of course, over that decision with a show as old as Naruto, using it to prop up Boruto. You have One Punch Man. It's held steady. It's been doing pretty all right with it being 2 a.m. in the block since it got brought back to the lineup. Loop in the third. Not much news there. It held steady. Cowboy Bebop at down 1/100th, but no one's expecting it to do too well. It's 0.12. I mean, it's a 20-year-old show, and it's, I think, the third time they rerun it recently on Adult Swim, so you can't have too much about it. Now back to Fully Cooley Alternative. This is shit. I'm gonna be blunt with this. Like, right off the bat, a 0.19 is just bad ratings in general, but especially with how much money Adult Swim or William Street's invested in this, they have to be expecting better numbers. I understand this time, we're in a different time, cable cutting's a problem, but I mean, with the amount of money they poured in 2 years ago into this project, Progressive doing okay at best ratings. Saving grace was a streaming. Considering that Fully Cooley Alternative streaming's actually been very, very lackluster so far, it really brings a lot of questions in, and it really makes people antsy. Probably DeMarco, probably the staff at William Street's a little antsy looking at this. I mean, they're fine. I guess Toonami, they're getting expanded next week. And there've been a lot of expansion so far this year. I don't think it's as much Toonami's doing amazing as much as just everything else is just shit. And the fact they lost King of the Hill, they lost Cleveland Show, and they might lose something like Bob's Burgers or American Dad in the future. But back to Fully Cooley Alternative. I pointed out how it finished 29th and how JoJo finished 30th in the cable ratings this week. I point this out because of just imagine if they flipped. Not like a wholesale drop or wholesale increase one. Imagine if JoJo finished 29th and Fully Cooley Alternative finished 30th. That would make a lot of people angry, especially considering how a show you put less investment in JoJo airs a full hour after Fully Cooley Alternative when there's supposed to be fewer people watching. That's been sandbagged by Pop Team Epic for the past 12 weeks. Outdoes your biggest investment. Outdoes what should be your cash cow. Outdoes the show that you have the biggest possible profit from, considering they own American streaming rights and American airing rights, unlike something like My Hero Academia, where the streaming rights belong to Funimation. So they can't profit as much over a show like My Hero Academia than what they could have with something like Fully Cooley Alternative. So, but like I said, On to sum things up, it was a bit of a step down. Not like, oh, the world is falling, we must fire DeMarco Pat or anything like that, but it's something you don't want to see, especially with Fully Cooley, Attack on Titan. Those were the two big losers of this week. The big winners this week are My Hero Dragon Ball for not losing any of their very high numbers. And of course, JoJo for going up. You got to give a shout out to Pop Team Epic. I mean, it never did well again, but still, it ended on an up note. And I honestly thought just in quality of the show, it was a pretty decent ending. It stuck to its guns. That's something you can just say about Pop Team Epic, that it's just something part of the show. And Naruto, of course, that promising jump up doesn't do point two that much anymore. So let's see where it can go next week. I'll probably have a video up maybe for Thursday or Friday about my opinion about the actual schedule itself for Toonami for Saturday and here on out for the time being, and my analysis on it. And that's all. I am Orange Cat, and that is all.